Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate X-Wing version. Tonight we have episode 143. We're going to be talking about Embracer firing Asmodee, or did they really? We're also going to be touching on the Worlds 2.5, and I'm going to call it Worlds 2.5 because AMG likes to have these rebranded versions. So I'm going to be calling it Worlds 2.5, and we're going to be talking about the coverage that has happened with them, as well as, kind of some of the changes and things that have started to show up as well for X-Wing. And JJ went and placed in the top 3 at the Richmond Open this weekend. So we're going to be talking not about his list because I don't care about his list. Maybe we'll talk about his list. I don't know. We'll see if I give him the graciousness to talk about his list. But we will be covering the Richmond tournament a little bit, the top 4 from it, to see if anything has kind of changed since Worlds or if people still running the same old stuff. With that being said, before we begin, we want to dedicate this episode to Zach. If you haven't heard by now, you probably have, and I don't want to spend a long time on it, but Zach, who is a big part of the X-Wing community, has been around for quite a while, and if you knew him, he gave you a hug. Like, the first time I met him, he hugged me, and I didn't even know who he was. So he was a really, really nice guy. Had an unfortunate medical accident about a week and a half ago and was put on life support. So, and they are taking him off life support if they haven't already, and they ended up doing a walk for him last Saturday as well. So if you knew Zach and you loved him, hopefully you're able to share everything that he shared with all of us going into X-Wing. And we feel very bad and hope that if there's any need from their family, that they'll reach out as well to somebody. I know that there was a GoFundMe that was up to help cover some of the expenses for his partner as they went through this trying time. And we'll have the link in the description if you're still looking to find a fiscal means to help remember Zach. With that being said, let's bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome Mr. JJ, the one and only, but not the top dog at the Richmond Open.
What's going on, everybody? But yeah, definitely just touching on Zach Matthews. Definitely a community. He was a great guy, knew him by reputation. Never got the chance to meet him in person, unfortunately. But every time I've heard about him, just his antics, especially online. Just a really great guy. He's going to be somebody that the community will miss. And unfortunately, I believe yesterday he was taken off of life support, and that's where his family's at right now. So, but thank you to everybody in the community that has helped out with his GoFundMe page to help out his family and stuff, and just wishing all the best for his family.
Also joining me is the bench warmer himself, Mr. Alex. How are you tonight, sir? I just saw you yesterday.
That's true. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up after that. I did have the pleasure of him kicking my ass at the last Crossroads Classic in the top cut. So strong hugs from Zach. He'll be missed.
Yeah, and like I said, if you would like to donate, I do believe they have a GoFundMe. We have the link in the description. We're happy to share that as always. With that being said, I hope you all had a good weekend. We had I had a very fun May the 4th weekend. I watched a little bit of Star Wars, not a ton. I got to watch a little bit, and then I got to play in a store showdown on Saturday, and then today I went out to Lansing and played in another $20 tournament, which we thought was going to be a store showdown, and then when I got there, they were like, "No, we'll clarify it was not a store showdown," which was okay. And I came in third in that this weekend as well. So that was kind of fun. A lot of Star Wars Unlimited being played, and a little bit of Star Wars watching. Got a little bit of Star Wars watching. But this weekend, JJ, you went, didn't you, to the Richmond Open?
Yeah, it was definitely a fun time. We had 19 players that ended up playing 5 rounds for Richmond Open, and there was definitely a lot of lists there that made it towards the top tier. That was stuff that was new, stuff that we hadn't really seen. There was a couple of revamps of some of the old stuff that we've seen, and it was really fun to play. I actually the top Empire list that was there was a triple defender list, and it was actually a really fun list to actually play against. And yeah, it was definitely a fun time to play X-Wing. I actually had not been playing X-Wing since, or at least competitive X-Wing since PAX back in December. So it was great to come back and see fresh lists that were out there for Richmond Open, and had a great time. I ended up coming in third place at 4-1, and Duncan Howard won the event, going 5-0 for that event.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Good Lord. What you
Jesus, right up off the front. Yeah.
Well, since we're doing that, so JJ, so we're that's what we'll kick the show off with. How about that? We're gonna kick the show off with the Richmond Open. We'll talk a little bit about JJ's list and some of the other top 4 lists. But JJ had a special message from the winner of the Richmond Open, which was not him. I'm going to kind of point that out again. It was not JJ this time. But there was JJ recorded a special interview that we wanted to play for everyone. You guys ready for the interview?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey everybody, this is JJ with Playing Face Syndicate, standing here with the winner of the Richmond Open, Duncan Howard. Duncan went 5-0 today here at Richmond. And Duncan, how you feel, man?
It's a bittersweet day. I don't know if a lot of people in the X-Wing community know about Zach Matthews passing this morning. So I decided to fly his list. It feels good to win. It feels good to do it for Zach. But obviously doesn't feel good today.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely going to be missed, and it's just so sad what happened to him. But congratulations on coming in here. How do you feel about the state of the game so far with the upcoming GTs and the new Worlds coming up?
You know what? I'm excited. We got Worlds, we got Grand Tournaments coming up, so I'm going to hit a bunch. Hopefully, we'll see. Love to see everybody, especially now.
Are you planning to try to win 7 GTs this year?
We'll see. I'll see what I can do.
All right.
See where they're at.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Duncan, for your time, man. Have a great one. See ya. Hey, everybody. This is JJ with Playing Face Syndicate, standing here with the winner of the...
And that is JJ's interview. We lost our picture. We lost our picture. Oh no. They'll come back.
Yeah.
There we are. We're
yeah,
back.
There you go.
So that was JJ's interview at the Richmond Open with Mr. Duncan Howard. And so remember, I know we joked about this. What was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? We joked about Duncan Howard going to all the GTs and winning them. It feels, I guess this is close to home for him, but it feels a little bit like Duncan Howard must have listened to the episode and decided he was going to actually do that this year.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's definitely warming up to it. He's definitely in top form still. He definitely will probably hit Nova coming up in when is it? The end of July, early August. So we'll see. I mean, there's definitely a few in this area that'll be coming up. So unfortunately, AMG was not able to grant permission for Richmond Open to become a GT. So they weren't able to send any other prize support, but big hats off to Stuckey and Chris Allen, who ran the event and provided a lot of great prize support. There were actually new players that came in, and it was their first time being in that type of event, and they did well. So it was great to see them.
So how many rounds did you guys end up playing this weekend?
So we ended up doing a total of 5 rounds. There was no top cut, and it was only a single day. And for a total of 19 players that were present there.
Oh, well, that's good. So at least you didn't have a 2-day crossover that you had to go to. It was just something that came one day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just enough X-Wing for us to really have a good determined winner. I mean, right up until the last round, there were 2 4-0s that ended up going up head to head, and then we had like 6 4-1s. It was definitely a fun time.
So what was your record then for the day?
So I went 4-1. I came in third place based on MOV, and just barely missed it. I think I was off by like 0.3 to take the second place.
Well, that's good. I mean, did you lose to the? Were you 4-0 and then lost your last game, or what game? Did you lose?
No, I lost my first game. I was playing against the first order list, and there was my dice were just cold at that moment. I don't like to blame dice too much, but when you have 3 range 1 shots into ships that should take at least 1 damage, and you roll 4 blanks and re-roll into blanks 3 times in the same round, and those ships don't die, that's going to hurt you in the long run.
That sounds
I ended up
totally
losing.
normal.
Yeah, I ended up losing my first match by 2 points. But beyond that, the rest of the games, the dice definitely turned up.
Well, that's fun. I mean, it again, we're gonna stop blaming dice all the time, but like, because if you look at Alex still manages to win, and I've literally watched Alex roll like 4 blanks after 4 blanks after 4 blanks. So
I think my most impressive one on TTS was minus 14 luck.
Oh gosh.
Which, good times, let me tell you. If you never want to hit anything with anything, just do it that way.
So it looks like they had an okay representation. Surprisingly enough, resistance was down. I'm a little surprised by that. Like, I kind of thought we'd see more resistance. Maybe people are just sick of playing it. And there was no CIS list. Nobody ran a CIS list, I guess.
Yeah, that was pretty sad not to see CIS at all for the event.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but at the same token, it's a little sad not to have any. So obviously Rebel was the highest representation. Scum and Villainy was second. Which that's a little surprising, but again, I think if people get sick of, if you're kind of sick of the meta and you want to run things that are a little bit more fun, I mean that's what Scum is, So I don't know how much money or whatever was on the line for this tournament, right? So like did this tournament have, like a bunch of super cool prizes or things like that? Because like if it did, you maybe wouldn't run Scum, but if you just want to have fun, I don't know. Scum's and Scum did decently at Worlds in terms of the one list that got into the top 16, but that was about it. But I think that's almost the identical list to the Worlds list too, if I remember right.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, well, all right. Want to get into lists? We talk about some lists here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's break down these lists here.
So I have a question. Do you want to break down? This is the first question. Do you want to go over your list first, or do we want to start with Duncan Howard?
Let's start with Duncan Howard's list, and we'll go through it. So, just a preface for this. So he stated before the event happened that this was a list that was run by Zach, the late Zach, unfortunately, and he wanted to play this in remembrance for him, and he brought this list for Richmond Open so he can play that there, and I thought that was a great gesture there. So he ran this Rebel list, and so we got the Battle of Endor Wedge with Boy Luke, Magba Yarrow that comes in with the Child, Ursa Wren, and Marksmanship. We got Keo Benzi with Juke, and then Sabine Wren in the TIE Fighter with Beskar Reinforced Plating. He did very, very well with this list here. Magba Yarrow just being able to help the Luke and Wedge survive a lot of the torpedo attacks. There were definitely quite a few lists that were very ordnance heavy throughout the tables. I know I ran across a few of them, and just having that Magva available to support Luke and Wedge to limit those rerolls down to 1 was a huge, huge help to help those ships survive the onslaughts that would come at them. And then on top of that, having just the passive force with the Child really helped, and Ursa Wren being available as well. Whenever they took those target locks on either Luke or Wedge, Ursa Wren was able to take a lock back and essentially have double-modded shots whenever she needed to. So this list is very efficient in keeping those big hitters alive. And then Keo and Sabine were just those extra bonuses that were really great at contesting objectives. And if you ever played against Duncan, he's a very, very objective-focused player, and he does very, very well at getting those points right off the bat. And if you're not careful, he'll run away with the game with those objective points.
Yeah, and the fun thing too with Ursa Ren on Magva is that when they shoot at her, she has the child, right? So they automatically acquire a target lock. So then you just trigger Ursa more.
Can you
And
forego triggering that effect? Can you like say I do not want to do that?
Yeah, I believe it's
It's
As
a
a
May.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
May, so you don't have to, but you can also maintain 2 locks. Don't forget about
True.
that, because that's what Ursa does. So
No. I'm sorry. I apologize. I meant as the person shooting at her, you would go to take the lock. Can you just say, "Yep, I'm not going to take a lock," to deny that to Magma? I mean, it doesn't. I don't know how much that really benefits you personally, but it does prevent Magma from being able to be
yeah,
a bully back.
that is a May as well for the child
Yeah,
for acquiring
that is a
locks.
May.
But yeah, that's just really really cool because like, what do? Acquire a lock on Magma? Great, cool. They get one reroll out of it, and I'm hitting back with a lock and force. I'm a little bit surprised you didn't have like hopeful over marksmanship, but you know, if you're taking, you just don't want a boosting U-wing, that's fine. Just don't lose your ships. You never have to trigger hopeful.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you get bullseyes. I mean, it is Duncan. I mean, so who knows? I don't know. I don't get bullseyes with E-wings very easily. So that's just me though. But yes, I would like the hopeful over it a lot personally, especially because if you have Sabine over there, you can be a little bit more aggressive with Sabine, right? And then maybe possibly trigger that hopeful with that U-wing, and then actually like that could be a game changer. Like here,
Yeah.
let me target lock you and then boost into range 1. All right, kind of a neat little list. Alex, do you want to go over Josh Taylor's list?
Yeah. So, Josh Taylor was flying resistance. He had 9-nub with heroic pattern analyzer, Magpulse BB-8, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure Nate May had something pretty close to that. You got Aloe with marksmanship, heroic Ferrosphere R4. You got Snap Wexley with R6D8 HLC. And you have Jarek with marksmanship, cluster missiles, overtuned, targeted computer, and the title. And then you got Lulo with heroic and shield upgrade. You got 4 I5s and boosty snap. It's a pretty solid list. It's very similar to what Nate May ran for a while in his Ohio tournaments down there. It's pretty solid. I mean, it hits pretty hard, and if you can't do anything like 9-nub, which is rarely stressed, right? Because he sheds it, so it's really nice to have that BB-8 system phase booster barrel roll.
And you got your Jaeger in there, right? You know, so that's, I don't know. That gives you that higher initiative, right? Shit doesn't always die. Mine does, but not, you know, like mine always dies. I never keep my fireballs alive.
Yeah, cluster missiles is too like razor's edge for me with a fireball, man. I don't want to be around 2 ships, let alone I don't want to be around like 1 ship, let alone 2 to shoot off the cluster missile.
Yeah.
And you have to time it right with that overtuned, or else you're only getting a single modded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not my cup of tea, but you know, I like the Mag Pulse better. But it's funny, on Neonub you have Mag Pulse now, so
right. And I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
mean,
if like double Mag Pulse is the way to go, but it's certainly a choice.
yeah, and I do have to mention that the loss that that Josh had, he actually only lost by 1 point. So he was very, very close to going 4-0 and possibly taking on Duggan in the final. But yeah, he lost that one match just by a single point there. So definitely was able to do very well as the sole resistance player in the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I like it. JJ, I guess we'll let JJ. You can go over your own list, I guess, because you have
Jake
some
Over,
interesting.
who came in 4th.
You had some interesting choices there. You had, which the funniest thing is, you had to go out and spend money to play in this tournament,
Yeah.
and you could have just asked for either Alex or I to mail you a Fang Fighter.
A Fang
I don't
Fighter,
know,
yeah.
Alex, how many Fang Fighters do you own?
Oh man, at least 6.
Yeah, I'm at between 5 and 6 as well. So like, I mean, literally, you could have just been like, "Will somebody mail me one?" I even mailed you cards.
Yeah, so I completely spaced out on it. So I've actually been playing with this archetype for a little bit, and hilarious enough, it was like Friday when I'm like, oh yeah, I only have one Fang Fighter. So I made like an hour and a half drive out to my local to buy a single Fang Fighter, and then also the Battle over Endor pack that I've yet to actually purchase, and then I bought it there. So I spent $40 just to run this list, because X-Wing is pay to win. So, so yeah. So what I got here is something that I've been tinkering with. Now, the original idea actually came from my NCX captain, Jammin. He's been running a scum list that includes 2 Fang Fighters, and I've been practicing with him a lot. And I wanted to do it on the Rebel side. And originally, this list included 6 ships, 3 of them, which would have been the double Clan Ren Volunteers, which are the Fang Fighters of the I3s, and then Sabine Wren in the A Wing, and then the other 3 that I had originally was Ezra with K2SO, Lieutenant Blount, and with the shield upgrade, and Horton Psalm with clusters and dorsal turret. I ended up switching over to the B Wings because they are definitely a lot more tankier, and I do prefer to have bombs. And I think that they were definitely the better choice because they could definitely tank a lot of shots and still deal a lot of damage. Now, for people who don't know what the heck is a Clan Ren Volunteer, it is an I3 double pipped Fang Fighter that's in Rebels. The ability is that when they perform a range 1 shot, if they have another friendly that did a same speed maneuver at range 1 of that shot, of that attacker, then they're able to re-roll 1 dice on offense. Now, the biggest reason why I went with them versus like Boudica was because of their loadout value. They have enough loadout value to put in shield upgrade, Beskar, and then clan training to round out their loadouts there. And I got to tell you, having essentially a 6 health Fang Fighter with the ability to have a passive reroll offense and the ability to also have clan training on those times where you just go for like a target lock when you're shooting a flank target is really, really strong. And I had Sabine in there in the A Wing to be that 3rd option in the event that I have to split my Fang Fighters. And it worked out very, very well. There were a lot of times I was able to force a face-to-face joust with a lot of my opponents and my 4 wins there, and versus the Fang Fighters, and they just came out on top. Just being able to tank the shots with the shield upgrade and Beskar and focus, and then having a reroll on offense left me with a lot of shots against unmodded opponents, because my opponents were spending their locks and focuses to try to put damage through, and they just weren't doing enough in enough time to do it. So they definitely are very, very consistent for what they can do. And then of course Braylon and Gina just able to punch very hard at their initiative. And I was actually able to do fairly well across all the objectives. I didn't feel like there was a single scenario that they felt weak in. But yeah, I was able to do fairly well. 4-1.
Well, awesome. It's definitely a different list than we had seen before. So
It is nice when people just straight joust your Fang Fighters, you know?
Yeah, sometimes they didn't get
Rerolls.
so I would set up my Fang Fighters on a flank and then leave my B Wings towards the center, and then they would decide to go after the B Wings. But the B Wings would slow roll to set up enough time for my Fang Fighters to come around, and they either had to turn to try to face off the Fang Fighters or try to face off against Gina and Braylon, which had bombs waiting for them. So it just made him make a hard choice, and that's where the strength of the list lies.
And you went with Sabine A-Wing over throwing in there a Keo.
Yeah, the reason for it, and it helped me out on two of my games, was that I was able to have Sabine be the ship that heads off, that leads off ahead of the Fang fighters to help set up blocks. So Sabine's ability allows her to essentially have like Concordia at range 1, and then she can also have she can convert a hit into a blank into a hit on offense. So she can set up, get the blocks that I need on the ships that I need to, and then the Fang fighters roll up behind her in close proximity. So that way they can hit the ships that I want to. So she was my dedicated blocker. And then when she was no longer in, once she did that initial block, then I can get behind the formation, go claim an objective if I need to, or just sit there and just become that blocker that I need to, and allow the Fang fighters to continue punishing everybody that was still in the front arcs.
Awesome. Well, the last list was Miguel. Alex, what scum list is this? And I think it's identical. I don't think that there's actually an upgrade difference in here. Now that I've relooked at that.
So yes, this is scum list. It's got a double Fang fighter and Dirge in the Razor Crest. So it's got Fenral with burnout thrusters, Beskar, and Predator. Got the Mandalorian with Contraband, the Child, and some sort of mysterious illicit upgrade. I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Like overtuned, maybe. Not sure. I wonder what he ran. I wonder if he switched it up. Almost no one ever does. Then you have Dirge with Contraband, Proton Cannons, and engine upgrade. And then Cad Solus with Beskar, Mando Optics, and Cutthroat. That allows him to recharge his Beskar if he needs to be. Charge on his optics, probably more likely. But yeah, it's a high initiative kind of list. Fen's a 6, Mando Dirge at 5, Cad at 4, but Cad's kind of operates solo. You get the double focus off the red maneuvers, so he can do whatever he wants. It's fun. And if more people are bringing jousty ships, Fang fighters get a lot better. So
yeah, they get a lot better.
Oh yeah,
like not just a tiny bit better. They get insanely better.
Well, Han's not really in the meta right now, so
yeah. No, and if Han was in the meta, that'd be a whole different conversation, I think.
Now, you guys are saying the Han's not in the meta. Now, I gotta say, at round 4, the other 4-0 list that was in the running, that was my 5th round opponent, was a Han list. It was a Han that had Bistan. It had Chopper
Engine,
and
Novice Tech, Chopper, and Hopeful.
yeah, Engine Novice Tech. Yeah, and it also had Luke, Keo, and Sabine in that list as well, and it actually did very well until the last one. Yeah. And it actually did very, very well in that list. And actually, I think that was a tough matchup for me because Han does not want to be like jousting anybody. He wants to kite around and stuff. So in that particular game, that was my last game that I had. I was able to luckily terminate Keo and Sabine in a single round, and that opened up my Fang fighters to take out Wedge. Not Wedge, Luke, and leaving his Han and Wedge to stick around and do some damage. Surprisingly, that Han was still very effective with his ability. Even if your first shot is basically single modded with Han's ability, you're still able to effectively, attack 2 ships a turn, even if you're not double focused. So he has a slight reduction to his health, but he still has the ability to really help contribute a lot to the offense of the list. And he does have those ships that are available to help contest objectives.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be exciting. I'm hoping that we're getting points here soon sometime. So that would be nice, right? Like, they talked about GTs, they talked about worlds, which we'll get into in just a second. And so I just think that I think it's important we get points, even if they're not going to be making as broad sweeping of adjustments as maybe they used to. Okay, I guess I should preface this and not say any sort, because giving a few points here and there is not a concession to me. But I think we need to see some bigger changes in specific factions to make them more viable. And I don't care if you want to leave some of the stuff because you think some of it's fine, but you want to enhance, let's say, Scum and CIS a little bit, so that way we have a little bit more. It would be nice. I don't know. It'd be nice if they did it similar-ish to what FFG did when they would pull things in and out of what the meta was. Like, that's what I liked, right? Like, do I need the exact same X-Wings? Well, what if we said 10 minutes now 5 points, and we're going to give you other 10 minute 5 points, or I don't know. I don't know if I want Snap 10 to be 4 points. I don't think I want that. I think that's just I think that's worse actually. But but what if they gave us other X-Wings and different things and change some of the things up to kind of, filter in and out? Like, that would be cool. I don't know. Like, you don't have to make big sweeping, like, let's readjust. If you feel things are close enough in most of the factions, besides CIS and Scum, you could make a few different tweaks and then fix some of the other factions, because, I don't know. I guess I can't have some fac at 4 points. What if I could have some fac at 4 points? I would be happy. Or give me standard loadout cards for the damn fire sprays, right? Like, fine, fire sprays are so broken. Just give us standard loadout cards for them, please. Like, you can make a standard loadout pack of fire spray cards for us. Give us some new pilots, do this, and just give it to us. Just ban all the other stuff. That would be fine with me. Like, I love, like, or give me Aurora at 6 points in my crew slot back. That's spicy.
What would you say if they gave the fire sprays a rotating arc instead of a front back arc? Would that make them cheaper enough? Or you have to spend an action to rotate?
Well, you would have to make them cheaper. But I think you're changing a complete mechanic of that ship. And I don't know if that's personally, I don't know if that's a smart design move. I would try it. How about that? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I kind of wanted like an SF, right? So it's like, if you're doing like a rotating front back, so it'd be like focus, link, rotate, lock, link, rotate. But I wouldn't do like the boost, link, rotate, right? Because that's like half the problem. So I think it'd be interesting if it was just like focus, lock, link, rotate, still keep the red reinforced because you're not linking off of that. Well, yeah, probably better than like rotate, link, reinforce, right? So that's fine. Yeah. Just the boost itself is kind of the problem.
Boosting and barrel rolling with all those linked actions for a medium base thing that gets like 3 attack and 2 defense is insane. So we had a question in the chat. If there is a Hot Shots 3, do we think it will be all standard loadout cards?
I think they would probably go towards the all standard loadouts, just so they don't have to worry about like tinkering with balance for individual like pilots and stuff with custom upgrades, I should say.
I don't know. Like, Hot Shots 2 was fully them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was all not.
Yeah, it was all custom pilots.
Yeah, it was all custom pilots, right? It was all not standard loadouts, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe like half and half. I just like having new like pilots, right?
I mean, it would be nice that if they included some of the newer custom upgrades that have come out, namely like proton cannons, which I think right now is only the Rogue class that it comes with, and you only get that if you're flying CIS or Scum. I know a lot of Rebel players that would like to have that. Maybe that would be a nice upgrade to have a few extra copies of, especially since there's like no official alt arts for it or anything like that.
Can you run that in CIF or in what would you run that on? Is it maybe the old B wings? Is that what they would go on? Who has
Yeah,
double
the
cannon
B-wings.
slots in
Yeah, like-
Rebels?
You know, Gina and all them.
Okay.
If it's not the standard one.
Yeah, Gina
run it on
Braylon's
the,
and yeah.
Transport crafts and the Resistance. Those got double cannon slots.
Yeah.
You're
I don't know.
insane if you're running a proton cannon on one of those, but you know, you can do it.
You can run backwards, you know? You could go backwards and get a proton
I
cannon
adjust
shot.
my angle
Yeah.
by reversing.
And hell, if and when we get the Alpha Class Star Wing, that's going to be another platform that could potentially have double cannons as well.
Yeah. I think on my side, I don't think it will be all standard loadout cards personally. I think that it would probably be like a 50-50 is my guess. Unless they're really going to fully move into only us using standard loadout cards, then fine. I mean, I guess if you think about it, that's all we're getting in some of these packs. So it does make sense if they did move to it. I think they might be a little scared. They might be a little scared because if they move to that only, then it's a pretty good indication that's what we're getting from here on out for the most part. Now, to be fair though, we got Lebo, and in Rebels we got Lebo and whatever the other shit. Yeah, the ship I hate, Dash, as standard cards. So like, I don't know. I'm going to say that it's 50-50. If it to me, that would be 50-50. I don't think they're ready to fully move into only standard put-out cards yet. I don't think that's very far on the horizon, but I don't think that they're ready to do that quite yet. So. Well, hopefully that answers your question. We're going to move on to the final segment of tonight. We had an announcement. An announcement. So originally I had a picture up here that said silence from AMG, and it just was like a little girl on a swing swinging by herself as a shadow. And like, I deleted it because we actually got some news this week, not specifically to X-Wing, but we got news that AMG is excited to announce that Adepticon 2025 is going to be our World Open Championships for all of their games, right? So we're getting a world championship, right? So this is what they say. I guess I can read it. It's pretty short. World Open Championships bring the pinnacle of competition by inviting all and any players from across the globe to come and compete in a series of heats to earn a spot in the World's Open Finals event that will take place on Saturday and Sunday of Adepticon. At the end, a single world champion will emerge from the crucible of some of the most intense gaming over the past 4 days at Adepticon. Players who wish to take this challenge and claim the title of the World Open Champion will first need to earn their spot in the World's Open Finals by making the top cut in one of 2 qualifying heats. Probably Thursday and Fridays, my assumption. Alongside our new grand tournament system, the World's Open Championships continue AMG's commitment to bring exciting high-level competitive play opportunities to the wildest field of players worldwide. More information on this and all other incredible events players can participate in at Adepticon 2025 will be revealed as we approach the official launch of Adepticon 2025 registration later this year. Now, if I remember right, Adepticon doesn't open registration till January. Just as an FYI, I could be wrong. Maybe it's in December, but I thought it was only in January when they open it up. So that's saying we have 9 months to go. So this will probably be our only discussion unless AMG actually gives us more information to speculate on. But essentially what they've done, and before we get into the qualms, I don't have qualms with what they're doing. I have more qualms with their communication personally. But what they've essentially done is said, hey, we don't want to have worlds anymore where you have to get a specific invite. We're going to have 2 days, which I'm hoping are just massively open. So in efforts to allow as many people as to come and play as they can, come play to get into worlds. So it's like large last chance qualifiers. I will say what I do like personally about that is that they're going to have 2 heats, and as long as they're wide open, and you can have, let's say, up to like 1,000 players each, as long as that's the case, like it might be not that big of a deal for somebody like me, right, who wants to go on a Thursday and then actually go do something else at the con on a Friday. And then if I don't get in, then it doesn't matter. Right? My whole weekend's free. But at least it gives you that opportunity to go and play in. And this, in fairness to them, this does kind of go back to their commitment. What they told us about GTs, where they believe that players shouldn't have to do this big grind, and we want everything to be as open to everybody as possible. So in fairness, this is kind of following that train of thought. Now, before I turn it back over to the other guys, I have a qualm with how they phrased their GT announcement. I have a qualm that they didn't, but they could have just said, "Hey, we aren't canceling Worlds, we're restructuring it." Literally, they could have just said, "We're going to restructure. We are going to look and do something different," right? They could have just said, "We're going to do something different." They could have said there could be one big GT, which is essentially what this is. This is going to be like 2 GTs you play in to get into Worlds, which is then just a larger GT. Whatever, I don't care. The problem is, and they, the way it was portrayed is that they were killing Worlds for all of us. Now, I did ask the guys, and I think I'm more of the conspiracist on the podcast. Like, some of me wonders, like 2 weeks ago they announced GTs, and there was a ton of feedback to AMG. Like, they got so much feedback, but at the same token, they turned around and this kind of came up, right? And now we have this. Some of me wonders if they just threw this together, and that's why we're not going to hear anything for 9 months. The other part of me just says they're just really poor communicator. I don't know which it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the floor up. Alex, what are your thoughts on this? Is this exciting to you? Does this like kind of make people feel a little bit better? We know they're not canceling X-Wing, at least because it's on there. So there's that piece of it.
Yeah, it's very exciting that we actually get a Worlds now. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what happened. They could be I mean, corporations are not the greatest communicators all the time, right? But something could happen, like they didn't have like a deal or something, or maybe they had a deal for the particular hotel in Schaumburg where it was, and then they moved to like Wisconsin somewhere, right? That's where Adepticon's going to be. So maybe they like had to finalize the deal, but they didn't have explicit a yes yet, so they couldn't announce anything, but they wanted to announce something. I'm not sure, that is a possibility. I mean, they are also not like, the most consistent communicators for our games here, but that I feel like that's more likely. I don't remember what the quote exactly is, but it's like you shouldn't attribute something to malice if it's easily explained by stupidity, So that's far more relevant than it really should be.
Yep. JJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, going back and reading the original announcement that they had on there, their omission of, at least letting us know that, hey, we will be releasing, more information for Worlds and Store Championships, which, as a minor point, Store Championships have not been addressed as of yet. For either if they're going to be happening, or if there's a change, or if we're not going to have any at all. Neither announcement has said anything about that, but again, just not having any information from the get-go about it, kind of left it up for speculation, and unfortunately, that lack of extra bit of information, especially when you're changing the format of what we've known so far for the for how the competitive scene is something that probably should have been explained a little sooner, or at least mentioned, hey, we will be explaining things further. I mean, part of me wonders if when Adepticon changed their venue, if they were contractually obligated to run the Worlds there. But that's something that we're never going to know. But hey, on the plus side, at least we are going to have Worlds. I am happier about the format that they're going to have. I wonder how many they're going to take from each event or each day to go into finals. Because I wonder if it will end up being a much shorter Worlds if that's the case. Hopefully they'll do like top 32 for each day, and that way we have 64 players for the finals. But we'll see as they hopefully explain it further down the line how that new format is going to work out for making the cut through the qualifier.
Yeah, I think we will. I don't know. I think there might be a possibility we see a larger than a 32 cut. Like, to me, I guess it depends on how many signups it is, but to me, it would almost feel like if they're going to do a Thursday, Friday heat, and then go into a Saturday for finals. Saturday would be like a 6-round event. That's kind of what I would feel. Maybe 5. I mean, we've been doing 5 rounds, and it's like we're getting out on time, right? So 6 rounds is 100% a conceivable thing, right? If you're playing in Worlds. So, doing this 6-round thing, cut to, the top 16 like they have been. And, so if you have a cut of 16, like how many players do you want normally for that? I should probably Google that before I openly state that. But top cut of 16. But I think it's like 120 or something like that, right?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah,
because if they do, what's that?
It's got to be something like pretty large like that.
Yeah, so 128 players, 6 rounds of Swiss with the top 18 cut means you'll have 2 undefeated, 12 5-1, and 30 4-2. And again, this is not going to cut. This is not going to say you saw ties. We still have ties. Ties are still a thing in there. And then basically you would be 28 players out of the 4-2s would miss cut. So, I mean, like logically, right? Like that kind of feels decent enough. In my opinion, it feels like a very decent set number. To kind of essentially say, hey, if we're going to do this, I don't know, because it makes you not want to ID. How about that? I mean, I'm just thinking in Chris Allen terms, right? Where IDing is just not like the ideal state to have for a very competitive event. So essentially, if you take 64 from each day, that puts you at that gives you a very ideal, like if you lose 1, you could still make it in with 2 losses. You could still do that. Once you lose 3, you probably shouldn't be in the finals, for Worlds anyway, I guess, right? So I think if you look at kind of how they've done it in the past, if you had a 3-2 record, essentially you got in. And so that's my assumption is that's how it will probably go, something like that. That would be my assumption. Or maybe they'll cut off at the X points like they had before. They'll just say 12 points. You have to have 4 wins, so you have to have 12 points no matter how you get them. We don't care. You got to have 12 points. Call it a day. I don't know. So I think the bigger question, and this is kind of something JJ had brought up, and I don't want to spend a million hours on this, JJ, but we had a restructuring from Embracer, right? So Embracer announced there was a restructuring that we originally thought was affecting Worlds, because originally JJ came up and brought to us, hey, look, the restructuring, Asmodee is going to get saddled with $900 million of debt from Embracer Corporation, which that's a lot. Like, that's a lot. Now, I did some research because that's what I like to do. And Asmodee as a whole, as a whole company itself, has actually been a very, very profitable company for Embracer. Like, they are not an unprofitable. Asmodee was not the unprofitable piece of the Embracer buyout. The biggest issue is the fact that they were given, I want to call it a loan, right, of financial dollars, and they had the first one, and the second one they applied for fell through. So because the second one fell through, they had to shore up some of their finances, right? And then Embracer is nothing more than just this company that buys and sells other companies to some extent, right? They're an investment group. They're not really there for the long haul. Embracer's done this before. That's not like a thing that they haven't done before, right? So like they're not what I would call the company I would look to, or I would look at Asmodee and say, hey, look how profitable they are. Therefore, we're not going to see this big tank. And I think the $900 million did not personally affect this World's decision. Especially now that we know this, I really genuinely feel this is more of AMG just having very poor communication skills. And yes, maybe their budget did get cut a little bit so that they can't afford to fly people anymore. But here we have come fly in yourself and participate in this tournament. And I'll be honest, some of this might be a little exciting if they decide to hold this overseas, right? Like I think that should be a conversation piece that might need to be had. Because I don't always think it's fair. Americans always get everything from from AMG. So I don't know. So there you go. That was kind of the Embracer thing. So JJ, what was your thoughts that you wanted to go through on some of that? And has your opinion
Yeah.
changed now that we're 2-3 weeks out?
I mean, a lot of it is speculation, right? Because there's just a lot of details that the public won't know unless, for some reason they'll go ahead and disclose it. Specifically, the role that Asmodee has for providing logistics to the companies that they have. As you know, Asmodee is a very, very big company. They have several game publishers under their umbrella that they do logistics for. I mean, they have a very big distribution for everywhere around the world globally for all the games that they have under their umbrella. And a lot of it, a lot of the funds that get diverted for some of their studios does end up going through Asmodee for distribution of all the items there. Specifically, when it comes to ordering new product, obtaining the licenses for some of the IPs they have, like Star Wars and such, that does go through Asmodee, and Asmodee does allow their companies that are under them as essentially kind of like a subcontractor to hold those IPs so that way they can create product for them. A lot of the logistics for providing OP support partially is done by the companies themselves, but a lot of it is also provided by Asmodee as well, especially when it comes to booking out convention spaces in different locations. Asmodee does have to provide a lot of the signage for some of those places, especially if they're booking out a section of a convention center for all their products there, for demos for different board games. And this doesn't affect just AMG alone. This also affects like AMG or Catan, for instance, where they have their own booth set up in a lot of different convention spaces there. We just don't know the extent of how much they contribute to these. And, there's a possibility that with them absorbing this, I have no doubt that Asmodee is going to be able to recover from the amount of debt that they have. They have essentially 18 months from what was reported to come up with the payments that they need to make in order to recover from that debt that they was saddled with. We do know already that Asmodee has publicly announced a price increase for a lot of their product coming forward in June. So we're going to see some price hikes for a lot of the miniatures that we see, a lot of the board games that we see that is supported by Asmodee and delivered there. And this is most likely an effort to do so. Now, how long have they known? I don't know. I mean, I would assume that since the events of their deal that fell back in June of last year came into effect, they may not possibly known that this was going to trickle down eventually to them, and which could also contribute to why AMG may have delayed in announcing some of their upcoming expansions or delayed development for some of their stuff, because they know that if Asmodee is controlling the logistics of them having items built, we know that a lot of the miniatures are made in China, shipped overseas here to the US for distribution. If Asmodee is floating that bill and they now have been saddled with this step, then there could be potentially a slowdown of that product coming up, in addition to the price increases as well. So, and obviously inflation is a big thing as well to consider when it comes through that as well. So, hopefully, and we haven't received any word yet on what the world's prices or GT prices for that matter are going to look like going forward. Hopefully that's just under AMG's banner and they can deliver some really quality prizes for us there, and just hope that what's going on in the bigger company doesn't affect AMG in providing future products for us. We still haven't received any word on what's going to happen in the future for a lot of these games. Nothing has been announced as complete as of yet. Hopefully, even if we get print and play stuff, which it pains me to say, like Armada's had with rapid reinforcements, we hope that we can still get card packs at least that will help us help the game still feel fresh with new pilots to factor into the meta, and hopefully points changes to help refresh the game and keep the game going.
Alex, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I think between what JJ was saying, what I said earlier, it's pretty sounds about right. So
All right. Well, fair enough. Again, I'm not super sold personally on on that's part of their issues. It's weird that they have only 18 months to pay that 900 million back. I guess I didn't see that portion of it, but it's going to take for over a year before they even dissolve. Like they're not even going to dissolve for a whole year. It's like a whole year long process. So, I don't know. If you look at their EBITDA or however you say that word, if you look at that and like their cash flow, like they have it's really high. So like 900 million isn't even half of that. So, I don't know. We'll see what comes out of it. Hopefully, it doesn't affect us too much. It would just be better if they don't shelve things. I think the more unprofitable pieces of Embracer were not on the Asmodee side, and we're all on their video game tech side and their mobile game apps, and we're the unfortunate side effect of that, So, but anyway, we will see kind of how it goes from there. I want to thank you all for joining us. It was a pleasure to talk a little bit of X-Wing tonight. It was exciting. JJ made, we'll say top 4. There you go, JJ. JJ made top 4. 1 loss is pretty good. Good job there. I'm gonna have to pull that list together to try to play at locals either this week or next week, just for the hell of it, and see if I have any success with it. Though I don't think I'll have as much success as you have. So we'll see, though. Anyone have anything else before we wrap up?
No. Congratulations again, JJ.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, just looking forward to the GTs that will be announced most likely by the end of the month, and hopefully, along with those announcements, we'll get some view into what the GT prizes, the prize support will look like. And I'm really hoping as well for some store championships, even if they're not offering free rights to like a GT or something. Hopefully, we get some cool cards, some cool alt arts for the game that we will definitely try and collect.
Awesome. Well, if you would like, we are going to switch over to our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. You're welcome to stick around and join us for that. We will be back in about 5 minutes to talk some Star Wars Unlimited. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will be back next week with more X-Wing.